Hi there, welcome to the latest update in the Noah Presgrove case. A new article has come out by Fox News, big media outlet, hence why there's been a wave of new viewers coming on into the case and on my channel. Shout out to them. But the reason why it's so important to take a look at the article today is to check for any new information, new details mentioned, and the acknowledgement of the wrongful death lawsuit, to focus in on a key point that was mentioned, which could be game-changing in the case depending on your outlook of it. The 341 timestamp, as it's been mentioned that in one article previous stated that's a time when Noah walked away, which is a bit weird. But in the Fox News article, and I'm guessing it's re-quoted from the wrongful death lawsuit, that around 341 is when there was a verbal argument with Noah Presgrove, and with the names what we've already heard of, Jack Newton, Avery, Joe Combs. And the reason why it's so game-changing that is because the timestamp of 341 links to that Snapchat post by Jasmine Millan, which would make her a witness to all that going on with Noah Presgrove and possibly even more. And whilst Jasmine Millan has defended herself already, these articles, these news outlets, wrongful death lawsuit, it's been worded as if at 341, that's when most of the stuff happened. So Jasmine would have been there to see it because she was on the front porchway outside of the party house looking outwards. So I'm going to try and do a map analysis today, add that in. But first of all, we need to acknowledge the argument and any other details too. There is also a video clip attached to the Fox News article, but it's an old one to do with Madison Rawlings, the sister to Noah Presgrove. I will play that video clip to you based on what she had to say in the past. And I believe it would have come out in 2024. Whether it be before or after the 1-year anniversary, it wasn't that far off from when you had the Justice page run by the family of Noah Presgrove at war with the Army page involving Justin Roy, Tiffany Shepherd, possibly Vanessa Salazar and some others. A really messy time. That's when Madison Rawlings also did a response herself in a separate video where she spoke quite mature and acted more appropriate and better than how other people were acting online. Well, besides that, Madison Rawlings has also spoken about the case, where she's at, where the family are at, and what they believe. So it's an interesting comparison to see what she had to say back then and how much does it link to the wrongful death lawsuit now and the intent behind it. Before we go any further, just want to say welcome if you are watching the live premiere. You can let me know your reactions and thoughts in the chat box on the right side of the screen. And at the end of watching the video, and for those watching on catch up, leave your thoughts below. If you have any questions, any discussions, any answers, it doesn't matter what, leave your comments below under the video, because it will help YouTube push the videos out there so there'll be more awareness spread and then more people can learn about the case and the updates. And for those that are new to my channel and other people that have been a bit late, if you have missed any videos, don't worry, all under control. The full playlist of the case, 360 plus videos made, top right corner where the I symbol is, click up there, top right corner. You get a drop down box with the full playlist and some loose videos. If you want to support my channel, there is a PayPal link down below in the pinned message of the comments, along with channel membership. As a heads up, I've got a new exclusive custom emoji which I've added in on my channel. Pretty good, high quality. It's a Warlight Ref original. And for those who are members on my channel, you should be able to use it right away now. And for anyone else that wants the access to the emojis or badges, feel free to become a member. Link is down below. With that all being said, the order of how we'll do things today, I'm going to play to you the clip first of what Madison Rawlings had to say in the past, add on with that and analyse, then return back to the article, the new one, and then add on with the map analysis.
You kind of get to wondering like how much longer. And with that, it's when or if it will come together. And we all are so hopeful, and we know that someone knows something has to happen. I mean, I've always just thought, I hope that he went fast, that I hope that he wasn't in pain, and I hope it wasn't someone he loved. So that's about the only things that I hope about his last moments is that he wasn't in pain and it wasn't by someone who he deeply loved. But we don't really know that. I think our sympathy for those people has kind of left. I think that we are so tired and fed up with all of this already. And I get a year is a long time, a year is a short time too. Does it make sense? Like, I know you can look at a year 2 different ways, but I know our sympathy for whoever knows something, it's non-existent. They've had plenty of time, and I don't know if they're scared or they feel like they're getting away with it, whichever way they look at it. But man, I wish that they would talk now, because if we have to catch you, people should realize that our family has worked this hard to find them, that imagine having to push for them to get the punishment they deserve. So I hope that they hurry up and talk. I just hope that it would get over. I pray every day that the Lord will just reveal something to our law enforcement, to us, that we can put this behind us and we can work towards a new goal.
So it's always interesting to be able to hear it from different sides and perspectives and fresh faces when other Presgrove-related family members may not speak as much. When it comes to Madison Rawlings, yes, I've done a video in the past analysing, so we don't need to go in as deep here, but the mention of how much longer, when and if it will ever come together. So there's a level of uncertainty, and back then, could there be more or less compared to now? Sometimes the uncertain factor, the unknown, it can strengthen and intensify as time goes on. Whereas Madison did say a year on, that can be a long time and also a short time. And that does make sense. A long time as in the case dragging on, no justice, not enough progression. But a short time as in it doesn't feel that long since we've lost the person and going through the different events and stages without from now on. First time events, first time feelings, a lot to take in. But there's enough time that's passed by now. So that was 2024 when she was speaking. It's 2025 now. What's changed? Well, wrongful death lawsuit. So it'd be interesting if Madison Rawlings did any other updates in the future, or if any other Presgrove related family members did like a little video or clip. At times, some people spoke out when there was breaking news or they had to set the record straight. Things had to be cleared up. If there was any tension with any of the Facebook pages, some might post a video onto the Justice page, kind of like what Ashley Chadwick did when it came to the whole issue of the social hosting and the tension there, and other people calling them out for not doing enough or for just, not signing. And then Ashley gave a response. So sometimes with drama and conflict, it can trigger a response video, and that can be beneficial to the general public when trying to learn from the perspective of those in the family. But the next point mentioned about, we know someone knows something. But who is that someone? And is it that it's only one person, or you feel that it's at least one person, could be more, and that they know something? Not that they are directly responsible, but there is at least a person that knows of something, which could mean a witness to it, a person keeping quiet, protecting someone else, protecting themselves. They're in danger, or they feel like they are in danger. But to say we know someone, meaning you don't actually know who it is specifically, what you've got more of a feeling, an idea that there is someone that has to know something. For Noah Presgrove to walk away and isolate himself from the party, there has to be someone followed him, someone that was down the dirt road, a person that was near to the highway. Is that what Madison was thinking at the time? You could interpret it based on that language. And to know something means it's not quite clear as to what they know. So it's all open to interpretation. But at the end of the day, to have a sense or a feeling that there is someone who knows of something, but they're not talking or speaking out, adding on to the idea of it being foul play, possibly some kind of cover-up, adding on to it possibly being more likely a murder if people are keeping quiet. Granted, accident-based, people can still keep quiet because they're scared, they want to protect themselves, they feel they'll still get in trouble. But just to have that sense of, we know. So there's a level of confidence there. A level of confidence which would mean there has to be something in the background or something that happened, information that was passed on back then to show and demonstrate that there will be people or someone that knows because they were nearby, close to, when it happened with Noah Presgrove's death. Take in mind, and don't forget this, I don't know if we'll have to do a separate video or not, but there was an older comment by Robin Smith that stated, we have evidence to prove that Noah Presgrove wasn't alone when it happened. So you're saying that when Noah Presgrove died, that there was a person or people present. Noah wasn't alone. If Noah wasn't alone, does that tie more in line vaguely with possible murder? You could make the argument for that, but it could still be an accident in which Noah's participating or doing something, other people are watching or involved, goes wrong, and people don't say anything till this day because they fear they'll get in trouble and they'll still get punished. So do people make a pact to keep quiet? It depends how you look at it. You know, with what Robin said, we have evidence. What evidence would that be? That Noah wasn't alone. That there was a video recording, audio recording, a photo taken at a certain time of when Noah walked away. Is what Robin said in the past links to what Madison Rawling said about we know of someone that knows something, but they're too scared to speak out, maybe. And then does that link into the wrongful death lawsuit in present time, as in it's been stated that Noah Presgrove got into a verbal fight with Jack Newton, best friend, and Avery Jo Combs, the birthday party host girl, a 2-on-1. So those two people that last spoken were around Noah Presgrove at the time or shortly before Noah's death. That what highlights that Noah wasn't alone, and that's the evidence for it all. You can see how it could all link together, not with absolute certainty, but, you know, with these different family members speaking very vaguely over time and what's transpired since, and events which have been included, which I've never heard of before, like the verbal fight with Noah and Jack and Avery. Never really been worded like that until recent time. What's changed since? Why has it only been revealed now publicly and made clearer? It wasn't mentioned on any of the Partisan True Crime podcasts or anything like that. I've done the map analysis since, and I will be including it today with linking in with 341 and Jasmine Milan based on what her point of view would have been if she had seen anything. Still got to be careful with language, but these articles and statements are wording it as if 341 is when important events happened, and that unfortunately would involve bringing Jasmine Milan. Now, was Jasmine Milan mentioned as a defendant on the wrongful death lawsuit? I don't think it was. I don't think the name was. It was Logan, Avery, Carter, Joni Wilcoxon, Stevie Howard, Jack, Caleb, at least 7. Was there any others? The store itself, Napoli, where the alcohol was done, that's 8. And then a John or Jane Doe, or multiple, which could mean Jasmine Milan, but not Claire, because her name wasn't on the list. Neither was Caden's, just to make that clear. But there's some weird things happening. You let me know if you see it the way I do. The next point mentioned, what Madison said, I hope he went fast, that he wasn't in pain, hope it wasn't someone he loved. Because if Noah saw, providing he saw and felt it at the time, in the moment being attacked or killed instant, and the last thing you see is a loved one's face and they're doing that to you. It can destroy you mentally. But it's just interesting with what Madison said in the past. No guarantee, no certainty, but just hoping that what happened to Noah, it was quick and there was no suffering or pain. But since that wrongful death lawsuit filed, how it's been worded, $75,000 in damage compensation, suing, that can involve, is it legal fees and costs like that? But then on top of other means, as in to cover funeral cost. And there was also a part in the wrongful death lawsuit where it mentioned to cover the cost of pain. more so towards the victim, Noah Presgrove. But how do the family, how does anyone know if Noah Presgrove felt pain or not? Psychologically, physically, long death, slow death, fast death? Did he see it coming? Was he anticipating it? Did he feel anything? Madison is hoping he didn't, and it was fast to end one's suffering. I get that. They'd be finding it upsetting if Noah was dying out slowly or scared or in pain. But the wrongful death lawsuit implies that Noah Presgrove may have died slowly, may have died in pain. It looks like things have transpired there. So where's the evidence to say this is how Noah died specifically, and this is how long it took to die? Do we have that publicly? No. Is it more guessing as for the wrongful death lawsuit? Did the family actually know whether Noah suffered or not when dying, and whether it was fast or slow? It's just because it's been added into the lawsuit as for like suing and money and compensation. So is there an inclination? Is there a form of hard evidence? Is it a guess? You let me know what you think below as well. Madison Rawlings back then did say, our sympathy for those people have left, non-existent, have it no more. So what would the sympathy be for those people? Those as in more than one. Even though Madison said we know someone knows something. But we also don't have sympathy for the others. No numbers mentioned, no exact amount, no clear names mentioned, but it probably is party goers, others. Does Madison have sympathy for Caden Pressey? Why do I ask that question? Because her response was very vague at the time. Sympathy is non-existent for those, I guess, at the party. So tired and fed up, they've had plenty of time to speak out or to say the truth, and they haven't. If they're scared, getting away with it, if they're forced to keep quiet or being paid off, those are just add-ons mentioned by me. But the mention of if they're scared, that's what Madison said. Scared in what way? Scared because it was an accident, went wrong, and they're somehow involved and they don't want to get sent down. They didn't mean or aim to kill or hurt Noah, but it just went wrong. And they're panicking because they don't want their life to be over. It's unfortunate, yeah. Scared as in they may have seen something or know of something, but they're being forced to keep quiet by the actual killer, the actual one or people involved. Forced to keep quiet. Getting away with it, more so someone who is directly responsible and they're just roaming about as a free person. Now, of course, we had the previous story which cropped up by a former local that was stating that someone who they were friends with ended up getting beaten up because they saw something they wasn't supposed to somewhere. No date given, no time given. Vague, I know, no updates available. But it was by the same party goers, supposedly. Now, do we really have party goers, a gang or group of them, welding golf clubs, going around beating people left, right and centre? Seems a little bit far-fetched, but I can only cover what's available and use appropriate language. If there is ever a pattern with any other people that may have been injured, hurt, caught up in a fight with similar said individuals who just happened to be at the party which Noah Presgrove attended, if there's any links longer term, bigger to be made, then that can be done, but in the moment, not quite possible. The only other point mentioned by Madison, as you would have heard, was, I wish they would talk now, and if we had to catch you, so just one person, our family has worked hard to find them, and just imagine now pushing them to get the punishment they deserve. So they've already tried hard, they've already worked hard to find them. It might just be incorrect language used, but to word it as if we know of someone that knows something, but we don't know who that someone is. We don't really know what that something is, but we are confident that there is at least one person out there, and if we have to catch you, then that's what we'll do, because we've already got experience and we've already worked hard enough in finding them. Finding what? Finding who? Them, but you say you, and you say someone, a singular individual, but you're also saying we found or will catch them. Well, that means more than one person. So you're saying what, more than one person needs to be caught, even though you only say one person knows of something? It's just, I'm just being specific with language, that's all, so I don't miss out on anything. You let me know how you interpret it yourself, because, okay, wrongful death lawsuit has been highlighting that there's a range of different defendants responsible in some way or another. And it also mentioned at least, I think like at least two or at least one, if not more, two or more, responsible for a possible beatdown on Presgrove. So if that's what Madison is indirectly hinting at, as in to catch them, we found them. But if you've already found them, that would mean you know of the people's names, or likely, more than likely you would. But still, the overall message is we know of something, or we feel that there is something, and there could be movement, but not quite clear at that time. And early on in the case, that would make sense. But that last line of, we worked hard to find them, worked hard to find the party goers. Are they hard to find? Hard to trace down? Or we talk about strangers who you may not know of, so it does require more effort. It's a bit weird, that. But beside, what we'll do now is move on to the article itself with the attached words. The title of this article reads, Marine hopeful found dead on roadside after holiday party may have been beaten to death, lawsuit claims. May of. So it's not said with absolute confidence and certainty. This is by Fox News. You see the article at the top. Scrolling down, new wrongful death lawsuit filing contradicts car accident theory in Noah Presgrove's mysterious Labor Day death. Why do we need to be contradicting a car accident when it's been ruled out officially by police early on? But then again, we've got to be clear and show understanding that that was more so a hit and run that was cleared. A car-based accident is probably along the lines of, I guess, what we've looked at recently, such as Noah being in the back of a pickup truck. If he's walked away at 3:30 to cool off, resting in the back of a truck, some maybe Texas boys leaving around the time shortly after, get into the vehicle unaware of Noah in the back, driving off down the highway heading north. Noah's woken up abruptly, stands up, off balance, and ends up falling out and dies that way. I mean, in terms of explaining how the shorts ended up in the middle of the roadway, that at least would make sense, as in falling out of a vehicle, shorts tugging, catching on the side of the vehicle or so. So as you go one way, the shorts remain, you fall, slip out of them, then the shorts are just then blowing in the wind as the vehicle's moving, which causes them to shoot off and then hover and eventually collect on the ground. As for all the injuries to Noah, though, people believe it's still a beating, and the wrongful death lawsuit shows that that is a possibility of a beatdown. But does the wrongful death lawsuit directly contradict a car accident? Well, to be honest, at the end of the day, the wrongful death lawsuit is highlighting it's either like a beatdown, foul play, or an accident. So accident is still on the table. A car-related accident, though, is that? This was July 13th, 2025, pretty recent. Marine hopeful from Oklahoma, who was found dead and naked on the side of a road in 2023, may have been beaten to death. A new wrongful death lawsuit states may have been, not with absolute certainty. So we're not really any closer, because there have been people in the past, and maybe some family members that thought there may have been a beatdown to some extent. To still say may have, not that it has happened, it had happened, but only now the wrongful death lawsuit has been filed, to still use the same language of uncertainty. What else has changed since for it to be filed now and not earlier? Noah Presgrove, 19 years of age, had attended a multi-day Labor Day party with friends that weekend before his body was found off the US Highway 81 in Terrell on September 4th, 2023. Officials found teeth, a necklace, basketball shorts next to Presgrove's lifeless body. Slight correction, they're not basketball shorts, they're actually wrestling shorts, and it doesn't mention what colour the shorts are, but from what we're aware of, it's the white ones, which were borrowed by Noah, which belonged to Jack. In terms of a necklace found at the highway, well, that's not exactly key wording or proper, because we don't actually know if it was the full necklace present or if it was just pieces of one. I believe the wrongful death lawsuit mentioned it as 3 pieces of a necklace, which could all, when stuck together, equal one whole complete necklace. But I guess it was the autopsy reported broken up pieces, which could imply a full set or not. But at least how it's worded by Fox News here, a necklace, as in it's in perfect condition. That's not the case. It was broken into pieces. Let's make that clear. Okay, the shorts, no visible damage on them, but as for marks, skid marks, patterns and stuff like that, that's a mystery. So it's a shame that wasn't cleared up. But is there any understanding as to how a necklace would break into 3 pieces? Is it by someone grabbing the necklace and tugging it off the person's neck? But wouldn't that mainly just break into a half? 2 pieces? What else could cause it to break? In a beatdown? An accident? It tugging, catching on something? As you pull away or move in a different direction, it kind of rips. A level of force as well. Depending on the necklace, the material and the quality of it, it might require a bit. Now, I can't remember personally on the spot, but a question to viewers, and if anyone wants to include the timestamp of the video right now and then leave a comment below, that would be appreciated. Based on Noah wearing a necklace, if there was a level of force to break it off, did it leave any bruising, any marks, or any, I don't know, like when it digs into the skin? Do you know, like if you were being strangled with some kind of wire or rope, and it's pulled against you and it presses in, it can leave like a deep cut or a mark depending on the force and how much pressure is applied. Could that apply to a round part of the side of the neck because of the necklace coming off with a level of force and being broken? Did it leave any marks behind around Noah's neck, specifically because of the necklace? If anyone knows or can remember to back it up or discredit, feel free to do so in the comments, because sometimes if you can't tell how a person died, maybe certain clothing material can tell a story as to the environment and the conditions and how that was at least destroyed or damaged or ripped or torn or muddied along the lines, and it could link on. Anyway, besides that, whilst authorities initially speculated that Presgrove may have been struck by a car after the party, the lawsuit filed on June 23rd seeking at least, could be more later, $75,000 in damages, alleges that the 19-year-old's death was not caused by being hit with a motor vehicle. We've got a photo there. No, Presgrove's body was found yet. Presgrove had attended the Labour Day party that weekend, which allegedly involved underage drinking, hosted by defendants Avery Howard, Carter Combs, Logan Jernigan, regarded as the host, according to the lawsuit. The party took place on a property owned by defendant Joni Trout Wilcoxon Jr. in a trailer owned by defendant Stevie Howard. I think Joni is the mother to Stevie Howard. The complaint states, or the father, whichever way around it is. I don't know if Joni is a male or female name, I'm going to be honest, but a trout, that's a fish. Complaint states, some of the defendants did not have legal representation listed at the time of the publication, and none of the defendants had responded to the lawsuit at the time of publication. Andrew Benedict, an Oklahoma-based attorney representing Wilcoxon and Howard, has not responded to request for a comment from Fox News Digital. And I believe that applies to the People article as well. Some weeks back, the People article tried requesting an interview for some, including Jack Newton, but didn't follow up on it, so it went quiet. But besides this quietness of these defendants, it was Caleb Newton that did speak out after the wrongful death lawsuit. Caleb Newton was saying, to be honest, it's all a big waste of time and energy and emotions. It's actually counterproductive. It's not going to make progress in the case, not at all. And Caleb was speaking on behalf of what Jack said to him. And basically what Jack was saying was, people that showed up to the party, they all brought alcohol themselves and got drunk that way, whether they were drunk showing up or getting drunk at the party. So by people bringing their own alcohol, the responsibility shifts elsewhere. So it's quite interesting and also shocking to hear those points mentioned. Not been brought up since. Referred to there of Noah. The complaint alleges that defendant Jack Newton, despite being under 21, purchased alcohol from Napoli's convenience store operated by Val Petrol, LLC, Fox News Digital. And Val Petrol has not given a comment, I don't think. So, and the other thing, when we did the map analysis, it just highlights a bigger problem. Okay, people can blame the party host or the friend for supplying Noah Presgrove specifically alcohol and so on. It was still Noah's choice to drink that alcohol. And whilst under the legal age, Noah was of an adult age to be making adult responsible decisions. Not that you would expect absolute maturity just because, you know, you're at a party, you're still young, you're not thinking of the consequences. I get that in the moment. But technically, of adult age to be making responsible choices, but party, alcohol, people give in and fold into that. But those people aren't complaining. It's the ones on the outside that are complaining and pushing the social hosting. And some of the people on the outside, parents or guardians to certain partygoers that were there at the party, and they watched from afar via social media and were quite okay with that, even if there was alcohol present or in the background of the videos and clips. And maybe some of the parents and guardians actually knew that there was alcohol there, and their own people that were down there were under the legal age, but they were like, well, no one's dead, so it's perfectly fine. But then as soon as there is a death, oh, now it's a problem. So people acted quicker back then. Besides Joni Wilcoxon, who supposedly knew, and Stevie Howard, besides them calling police or stepping in, if other parents or guardians stepped in as well when they knew that a party was taking place and they knew to some extent what was going on, maybe no, it could have been okay. So instead of just pointing it all one way, you can spread the blame if you really want, but what does the blame game do? Where does it lead to? To some extent. But it's important to highlight that besides the partygoers and even the host, even if you call them reckless and irresponsible, what about an actual established business and chain, convenience store by Val Petrol in Napoli, in Lawton? Now, why did Jack go there? What time did he go? And why in that direction when it's away from the party and it's away from where he lives? I don't know personally the reasoning behind that, unless Jack thought, I'll go there specifically because I know that they don't ask for ID, whereas other places do. That's a possibility. But still, it just highlights a major problem, a bigger problem at hand beyond the Noah Presgrove case, that if there are any other parties that go on in life in the area nearby, if a store like Val Petrol has previously allowed other underage people to get alcohol without asking for any identification when it was clearly, obviously needed, and just by the standards would be needed and asked anyway, if people still to this day as well can get alcohol from there without any identification and just come and go like how Jack did, it means other parties are still going on and other social hosting is happening. Now, okay, you tighten it, you restrict it. There'll always be a way for people to get a hold of alcohol. That's true, of course. But if you can tighten it down just a little bit, you can make it just a little bit safer. So it just highlights a bigger issue at hand. Presgrove's blood alcohol level was about twice the legal limit at the time of his death. Either intentionally or accidentally, the defendants killed the descendant. Lawsuit. Presgrove had apparently been drinking at a house party where he was involved in a rollover incident whilst riding an ATV that Newton apparently permitted Presgrove to ride, even though he was intoxicated at the time, according to the medical examiner's full report upon further investigation. Well, that's worded differently. That Newton permitted. Which Newton, though? Jack Newton? Caleb Newton? Because in the wrongful death lawsuit, it's stating it that Caleb Newton, that wasn't even at the party, allowed Noah to use that side-by-side, that ATV. How can a person who's not even physically there, end up saying, hey, Noah, yeah, I'm miles and miles away. I can't see you. I can't hear you, but I'm giving you permission to use that side-by-side because I own it and you're allowed to use it in the moment. It just makes no sense, that. And furthermore, it's been worded that it wasn't even Caleb's. It belonged to Jack Newton. It was Jack Newton's side-by-side. So where and how does the responsibility fall on Caleb, Jack's father, when Caleb, 1, wasn't there, and 2, doesn't own the side-by-side? How can Caleb be giving permission for Noah to ride it when Caleb's not even there to issue out orders? And in terms of Jack Newton, could Jack Newton have been the one to allow and permit Noah to use it? Well, how the story's gone is Jack was asleep, Noah walked into the bed of Carter's bedroom, and whilst Jack was asleep and Carter was woken up or half awake, didn't really contest it, and Noah just got the keys and went. So that's a problem. And let's not forget, just in general to highlight the importance of this, that if Noah Presgrove was able to roll over a side-by-side and probably through drunk driving whilst it was on site at the property, thankfully, and a bit of a softer cushioning on the ground too, just imagine if it was on the highway. Just imagine if Noah had his own vehicle. So he had the choice, the chance to leave their party whenever he wanted to go back home. Oh, and people think he would be safe then? He would have been alive? Well, if what happened with the side-by-side, don't you think the same could have happened maybe with his own vehicle down the highway when drunk driving? You never know. There's always that possibility. Could have ended the same way. Different type of death, but still a death. Not good. And the chance of others being caught up in collateral damage because of a road traffic accident. Anyway, beside that, to say Noah was involved in an incident with the rollover, well, he was mainly, I don't want to say it in a negative way, kind of at fault because he was behind the wheel. Unless there was any distractions, unless there was anyone else as a passenger messing about. Is it the end of the world, the rollover? Not really, because from how it's been worded by a range of different people, from Caden Pressey to people from the dark side, to Robin Smith, to some extent that, minor injuries, that was mainly it. So Noah Presgrove was okay at that time, and then onwards, whatever happened, happened. So, what else do we have here? Quotes. The highway was poorly lit at night. No shit. There are no lights whatsoever. There were no vehicle parts or debris observed at the scene. Further investigation revealed that the descendant was at a house party, drinking on September 3rd, 2023. The full report leads in part. Then he rode an ATV Ranger vehicle with several men that had a rollover incident. The descendant left the party house and was not found until the morning of September 4th, 2023 on the side of the highway. Oh no, not this again. September 3rd means Sunday, as in possibly Sunday night. If it happened on Sunday, then likely Caden Pressey was still awake, so he should have seen something. He should have heard something, more likely a witness. But because we've heard, and I've heard since, that it was on a Monday when the side-by-side rollover occurred at specifically September 4th, and around the time likely of when when Caden was asleep, he wouldn't have been a witness to it, hence why he didn't see it firsthand or hear about it. But how it's worded here, I don't know if this is directly quoted from the wrongful death lawsuit, because if it is, or from another place, it's not exactly right? To mention it as in Noah Presgrove was drinking September 3rd, on a Sunday. What about Saturday? Are you saying that Noah Presgrove was completely sober at the party on Saturday when he attended the place? Why are we neglecting Saturday? Shouldn't we include the full timeline? The moment when Noah Presgrove was drunk, the moment when alcohol was supplied, considering how the wrongful death lawsuit likes to push it in such a extreme, exaggerated way that other partygoers and specifically the host were almost like passively providing Noah alcohol, copious amounts as it was worded, to such an extent that when he was drunk he was force-fed more alcohol and more and more and more like a prisoner, held against his will to that extent, so extreme. Well then, I thought if this article, if Fox News are in line with the wrongful death lawsuit, they'd be using the same language then, and specifically referring to Saturday when there was alcohol, when there was drinking, and Noah was promised alcohol to come on down to the party, or maybe promised even more to return back to the party on Sunday. It's only mentioning Sunday here. It should be mentioning Saturday too, because that's the first day which Noah attended where the timeline started off for Noah Presgrove specifically, and yet it doesn't mention it. the full report. I don't think it's the full report because it doesn't give the full context. Prat. And as well, in terms of the side-by-side rollover, okay, with several men, possibly Texas boys from how we've interpreted it and done process of elimination, to my knowledge, the rollover occurred on the Monday. And okay, Caden Pressey said it did on the Monday, and at a given time, 2:40. Well, that timestamp's a bit dodgy, let's be honest with it, because 2 minutes later, Caden woke up and saw Noah inside, perfectly okay, not dirty, not bloodied. So, yeah, bit weird. Likely it happened at a later point when Caden went back to sleep. But how it's worded officially, it was September when there was a rollover, or at least that's how you could interpret it here. It's a problem, because then it says the descendant left the house and was not found until the morning of Monday. So that's implying here and stating that when Noah walked away for good, Noah walked away Sunday night, but Caden Pressey, Monday at 2:42, saw Noah Presgrove inside of the party house. I'm sure other people did as well. It was 1:50 in the morning, supposedly, of Monday, when Noah's in the bathroom with Jack Newton taking a selfie. So for this to state that it was Sunday night when Noah walked away, oh my God. And I know some people could say, well, partygoers would refer to Monday early morning as Sunday night because they hadn't gone to sleep yet. This isn't by party goers. This is by a bloody news media outlet. This is people doing a retrospective look, as in what happened on the days and the events as they followed. So if you're going to use specific dates, specific years, then you should be using the specific events which followed on those corresponding days. And they've got it mixed up from the looks of it. If any of this was true, though, it turns everything upside down in the case. But based on the hard evidence, what we've seen, and material along the way to suggest that Noah was alive and was here and was present there. And most of the stories, all the stories being worded as Noah Presgrove did walk away on the Monday. Okay, Jasmine may have said to Caden it was between 2 to 3 in the morning. Sarah Long mentioned the night before. And then others say it was at 3:30 on Monday. So I'm just wondering did Sarah Long or did this article or somewhere get influenced by Sarah Long stating that Noah walked away the night before? Yeah, he was found and he was brought back, but he walked away. Just like how it mentions here that the person left the house. Well, when Noah left the house for the final time, never to return back alive, that was Monday, from what we've heard over and over again. Why is it saying it happened Sunday? And Noah was only found the next morning? That is bollocks. You know, anyone that reads this for the very first time are going to get very confused when they look at the other stuff down the line. And it gets worse here, okay? Brace yourself. An investigation also revealed that Presgrove had returned to the party after the ATV incident. Oh no. Oh no. Noah had returned to the party after the side-by-side rollover. Okay, so after the side-by-side rollover, Noah returned back. Well, returned to the part. Okay. It comes down to language and wording. You know, like how it's been worded here, that Noah Presgrove left the party house, and then for it to then say Noah returned back to the house. It's just a bit confusing, but basically how it's worded here is that when Noah Presgrove got the keys, he exited the party house to get into the side-by-side with the other guys, driving about maybe behind the pasture, rolled over. And then after that, Noah returned back to the house, basically walked back into the house, escorted supposedly to the bathroom area because they're needing a wash immediately. Okay, but anyway, it says Noah was last seen visually in a verbal argument with Howard and Newton. Oh, God. This article is just not good. Okay, it's the last names of the people, but if you're reading this for the first time, who is Howard? Who is Newton? The Howard family, the Newton family. But which Newton? Is it Jack? Is it Caleb? Is it Colton? As for the Howards, is it Avery? Is it Stevie? Is it Tim? Not Tim Daniel, but Tim Howard. Somebody else? Well, we can clear it up ourselves and you will know yourself. But I'm reacting just like how I'm taking on board. There's new people come into the case and they see this for the first time. They're going to get confused. So there was supposedly a verbal argument, no official time given previous, but how it's linked here, supposedly it occurred at 3:41. And it was between Avery Joe Howard, also known as Avery Combs, same person. Sister is Carter. Mother is Stevie. So with that being in mind... Sorry about that, had to shut the window. With that being in mind, you've got Avery Howard, birthday girl and host. Newton, as in Jack Newton, Noah Presgrove's best friend. Those two that are friends and close to Noah. Newton, best friend to Noah. Avery Howard, possibly in a relationship with Noah at some point. So they're quite close together. It's like a triangle of connections. Verbal argument over what exactly? Not exactly clarified or mentioned. Could be the bedroom debacle. Could be side-by-side rollover with taking the keys. It could be a combination of both. So they both got a piece of their mind to share with Noah, and so on. But to say this verbal argument was around 3:41. So Noah Presgrove walks away at 3:30, and then 11 minutes later has an argument with Avery and Jack. But where exactly on site? Because within 11 minutes, you can cover a bit of distance on foot from the party house down east towards the highway. So it would imply, did Noah Presgrove set off first, then 11 minutes later, Avery and Jack caught up with Noah and were in the dark out of sight. It really flips everything upside down. And okay, we'll use some images shortly as well, just so I don't go too deep right now. Medical examiner ruled Presgrove's cause of death to be blunt force trauma to the head, torso and extremities. 2 years after the death of Oklahoma teen Noah Presgrove, the family is still searching for answers in this death. And that says, is that quoted by Robin Smith or below by Robin? Descendant was beat to death by one or more of the defendants. The complaint says, though, it does not include the factual allegations demonstrating that Presgrove was beaten to death, adding that 2 or more defendants engaged in a civil conspiracy to beat. No, 2 or more defendants, so that could be Avery and Carter, it could be Carter and Logan, or Logan and Avery, Logan and Carter, could be Jack and Caleb, Caleb and Carter, Caleb and Logan, Caleb and Avery, Jack and Avery, Jack and Carter, Jack and Logan, different combinations of bloody people, right? But not everyone would have been physically there at the party, like Joni Wilcoxon, Stevie Howard, store owner Val Patrol, Caleb Newton. They weren't physically there at the party. We've not seen any evidence to show that either. And even Caden Pressey said 100% Caleb was never at the party. So all the yes men and yes women that bow down to Caden Pressey but may question Caleb, who may have been at the party, listen to your golden boy poster boy, okay? Because even he said Caleb wasn't there. But people don't do that, do they? Very interesting. So, 2 or more defendants, and the defendants, what we've seen on the list, are responsible for beating Noah that badly. Now, how do I word this without it being taken out of context? Based on the level of damage done to Noah, are 2 females capable of doing that amount of damage to a male? And I say that because, oh God, it's probably going to trigger people, isn't it? But tough shit. You got a male who's also a very good wrestler being attacked by 2 females who are maybe of a shorter height and physically, in some sense, not as strong as Noah. I mean, if you're caught off guard, blindsided, not much you may be able to do. That's the exception. As for Jack Newton could be a better match for Noah, as it's male on male and not quite equal strength though. But you get what I'm saying. But would those type of people, physically speaking, be able to swing and bash Noah in such a way to cause that much damage and injury? Because yes, you can weld an object, a melee item, but you still need strength to generate the force behind it. The swing, the technique, the stamina, and so on. Are those defendants capable of causing that damage? Besides, Are the defendants capable of doing it to Noah in the first place? Are these defendants capable of causing that much injury to Noah based on their own physical strength and stamina? You let me know in the comment section. You've got to go into the biological aspects of it, an alternative way of looking at it. Right. Lawsuit accuses defendants of duty of care violations, civil conspiracy, negligence, recklessness, connection with Presgrove's death. Presgrove had graduated from high school 3 months early with plans to enlist in the military alongside his cousin. And that appears to be it there. With that being said, let's head on and focus specifically where it mentions about 341 and a verbal argument. What you're looking at on screen first of all, whilst yes, we're going to be looking at that snap itself of 341, which is also mentioned there, highlighted in one of the red lines, zooming in just a second, that this is a photo, if you want to call it, part of the document of the wrongful death lawsuit. So how it's worded by Fox News, is it the same here, whether they've quoted it directly or not? And to be honest, it's not really accurate, right? What's mentioned here is different to how it's been worded by Fox News. So I think Fox News has kind of interpreted it incorrectly or associated a line and then linked it on with a certain day or time. It's a problem, okay? It might not show all of the inconsistencies or the discrepancies from article to document, but with what we're looking into right now, okay? So in Fox News article, they mentioned that Newton permitted Noah to be able to drive or ride on the side-by-side. Newton, who? Well, in the official documents, it said Caleb Newton, Jack's father. Jack's father, who wasn't even at the party, allowed Noah to ride it. How does that even make sense? What, Noah Presgrove bloody phoned up Caleb and said, "Hey, Caleb, can I use your vehicle?" And Caleb's like, "Well, it's not even mine, because Jack owns it." So it's just a bit unusual, isn't it? And how it's worded by Fox News isn't worded like how it is on the article, on the documents here. So there's a misunderstanding. But the most important part, towards the end of the party, with no time given. What does that mean, towards the end of the party? What is the official time of the party ending? Because Caden Pressey said at the end of the party, or just after the party finished, that's when the golf clubs and the bag disappeared. So we're saying that at the end of the party, Jack and Avery were verbally fighting with Noah Presgrove at the same time as when the golf clubs and the bag disappeared, as Caden Pressey words it? Is there a definitive time as to when the party truly ended? I'm interpreting it as the moment the news came out that Noah had died. That's like when the party is cut short. That's when the tears roll in and there's no more partying or having fun anymore. But maybe people look at it differently. But do you see how it's worded with a full stop, bullet point end? And then it moves on to the next statement of, at or around 3:41, September 4th, at least some partygoers began to notice that Noah was no longer physically present. And at around on the same day, Noah's body was discovered. But in terms of Fox News, they're wording it as Noah Presgrove walked away Sunday night, supposedly. Noah Presgrove was found the next day. Noah Presgrove walked away and was found dead on the same day as it's mentioned here, just at different times. So how does Fox News manage to get that mixed up? Oh my God. So does it just rule out everything now? That, yeah, 3:41, that's when people knew or found out that Noah's no longer present at the party. But we don't have a definitive time as to when Jack, Newton and Avery Howard were verbally fighting with Noah. So it is still possible close to 3:41 when arguing could have taken place. But then it brings in Jasmine Millan into questioning as to what did she see and what did she hear. I'm just doing this as a theory and a theory only. But in terms of what Fox 10 News has done, indirectly placing the blame indirectly onto Jasmine Millan, right? Because if you're stating it, even though Fox is going against what's mentioned in the official documents, which sounds really incompetent, but still, if you're stating it that when Noah was walking away at 3:30 as example, 11 minutes later, that's when the verbal fight took place, even though it doesn't mention it here officially, but it's mentioned by Fox News that at that same time, that's when Jasmine Millan was outside. So she would have seen or maybe heard something. Okay, it's dark outside, but you got to look at the other factors. So when we look here, okay, this is just the party inside of the house. Noah left, Jasmine middle, Carter on the right, Jack in the background, and then whoever it is off camera to the right. All happy, all fine, all good. What day was this on? Sunday night, probably. Monday morning, who knows? But the top what Jasmine's wearing there is what she was wearing Sunday night when Caden Pressey at 10:50 was panning around the room from his point of view in the recliner chair. And Jasmine was in the kitchen area sat down, same top. At 3:41, same top. Likely, okay, different colouring because of shading, but because of the shirt being wet, which I was the first one to analyse and pick up on. Caden Pressey, whether it be his leaked interview or something that was revealed at a later point in time, Caden said the same thing as me. So it shows that I was a few steps ahead of other people and I was on the correct wavelength. Why is that important? To determine or estimate the time of when a shower took place compared to at 3:41 when Noah had walked away, already cleaned and all that, and Jasmine was outside, but still a little wet. Why would Jasmine be wet from a shower which she did not participate in? Because she was helping Noah stand up, steady himself. If he's drunk, a bit groggy, wobbly, might need assistance, that's understandable. And Jasmine's standing nearby, but the closer you are to someone having a wash, there's a chance that water may splash onto you, your hair, your shirt. And you can see it. Some people say, well, it's grease stains and grease marks. But then, we've had some experts, people that are quite familiar with hairstyles, wetness and the time it takes to dry and all that, who confirmed that likely it's from the shower. So important points of views to acknowledge. So you got Noah Presgrove on the left there, Jack in the back, and unfortunately Avery's not in the same shot. But if you had that, then we could narrate over it, like the visual sense of everything's all fine and okay, but then as soon as it reaches the bedroom debacle of Noah wanting to sleep in one of the girls' beds, that's when all the shit breaks loose and kicks off. Is it enough to justify a verbal fight? Was there anything else that happened in the moment, in between, or earlier that built like a grudge? It depends how you look at it, right? Because if Jack, why would Jack be having a verbal fight with Noah? What would be the reason for that? What, because Noah crashed Jack's side-by-side earlier and Jack was a bit peed off about it? That would make sense, yeah. But if you're referring to Caden's timeline of 2:42 when Jack, Noah and Jasmine are playing beer pong and they're all fine and dandy, it probably highlights and counters the claim of Caden's time stamp at 2:40 of that's when the rollover occurred. Likely the rollover occurred after 2:42. And around the time when Jack was asleep or going back to sleep maybe. If it happened at 2:40 and then 2 minutes later they're inside like nothing happened and Jack's not even mad, and if the theory is, and it's only a theory based on it all, if there was a verbal fight and the motive behind Jack's verbal fight towards Noah was because of the suicide, how dare you crash my vehicle, that's going to cost something, and how dare you, just in general, okay. But it would have to be at a later time because at 2:42 what Caden saw was Jack and Noah, okay, fine, no arguments. So there's no arguments at 2:42, you push it on onwards for when events likely unfolded, and then, was it a chain reaction? So from the from the side-by-side rollover, to the shower, to the teabagging, to the eating, to the bedroom debacle, does it all link chain reaction, building to tension, a standoff, an argument, or is it just one event out of them all, the final event? You let me know what you think below. But 3:41, Fox News is implying that that's the time of when Noah was possibly already walking away, and more so, getting into a verbal fight with Avery, birthday girl, and best friend Jack Newton. But where would that verbal fight have taken place? What you see on screen is Jasmine Millan saying, well, Noah's missing, and the wrongful death lawsuit states that certain people then started noticing that Noah was no longer present. So what? Jasmine went outside to take this alone selfie and then post it online as a joke, light-hearted, no big deal. It was taken the wrong way by others, understandable. Context was given with time, interesting. And Jasmine was saying, I've got no role in this. I wasn't expecting what was to come next, and it was a surprise to me as it was with other people. It's normal for Noah to walk off. Caden Pressey said the same exact thing. So why'd it be different this time round? But somewhat normal for Jasmine to do posts like this when someone's missing or not present, maybe. You could be interpreting it that way from what Sarah Long had stated on behalf of Jasmine when backing her up there in November. But beside that, of 2023, beside that, look, we're focusing in on the shirt. You can see wet droplets there, wet patches, strands of wet hair there, darker in colour, thin strands of hair running down the front over the eye. Not completely wet, but a little bit wet. Maybe wetter earlier on, and it's dried up since. Go take in mind the humidity and the weather at the time. But by being a little bit wet implies that there's a bit of time in between this and earlier, the shower, but not a great deal of time. Creates a bit of a time frame window. Does that make sense to people? And if Fox News is saying at 3:41 when the verbal fight took place, no reference as to where exactly did Jasmine see anything if she was to be outside, considering Noah has already walked away. Maybe not visually, but maybe auditory. That needs to be acknowledged. Whilst this is an aerial view, you get an idea of what it looked like on the outside. If we had additional party footage from different angles, I'd definitely make full use of it, but we don't. So underneath that overhanging roof, the patio area, you'll have the front porchway where Jasmine was on the steps of, taking the photo, overlooking from her point of view, looking south. Should have been looking south over that way. That's her view. That's her peripheral vision. Limited up to the dirt road, up to a certain point, maybe just near to the tree, because it would have faded out into darkness due to limited light source. So she wouldn't have seen that much. Now, it's been worded by Jack Newton that Logan was the last person to see Noah walk off heading east. So if Logan saw Noah walk off heading east at 3:30, 11 minutes later, Jasmine Milan comes out onto the front porchway. In between that, did Jasmine cross paths with Logan? Did Logan come back in and say, hey, Jasmine, have you seen Noah? Or Noah's walked away. So then Jasmine goes outside to take a selfie. But then Jasmine would know that Noah has gone missing and has gone in a certain direction, right? So then Jasmine would know where to go or where to look, but no action taken because it wasn't deemed as anything big of a deal because it's normal for Noah to walk away. There's reasoning there. But did Jasmine and Logan stay outside on the front porchway at 3:41? Because Noah walks away at 3:30, how it's been worded. Logan sees Noah walk away heading east, drifting off into the darkness. No follow-up. So what? When did Logan see Noah walk off? Directly at 3:30? And then when did she go back into the house? 3:41? Before that? Did she wait there until Jasmine came out onto the front porch? Well, maybe not, because the selfie only shows Jasmine and only Jasmine. But when Jasmine took the selfie, not thinking much of it, did Jasmine then walk about on the outside of the property house, walking down the dirt road, trying to have a little peek or look to see if Noah was there, calling out for him? Or did she just walk in casually and just continue partying or resting, whatever? These little questions along the way. And from the Fox News perspective, at 3:41, which is already by a time of when Noah would be outside of the party house, how much distance would he have covered on foot from 3:30 to 3:41 if he was heading east? Would he have been long gone out of the peripheral vision of Jasmine Milan if it was at 3:41 for a verbal argument to occur with Jack, Avery and Noah? But the argument may have occurred further down that way if Noah had already made it so far down east, whatever he was doing. And then one thing led to another, maybe that possible beatdown, which might be hard to believe, to be honest. But I'm just trying to theorise and add it in together to make sense, or some sense, possibly. But if any of that was to happen based on that timing and timeline, that at 3:41, whilst Jasmine Milan's outside, if the argument's already taking place outside as well with Noah, Avery and Jack, then how come Jasmine didn't hear anything, didn't hear any shouting? Because even if it's a bit further away, out of the line of sight in the darkness, okay, visually you can't sense it, nose you can't smell it, but your ears, surely you'd be able to hear it. If it's quiet enough outside and noise can travel, and if there was a little bit of a breeze, there's a chance you might be able to hear it. A verbal fight sounds kind of aggressive, verbally. Shouting, any screaming by any of them. So you'd think if it all happened at 3:41, Jasmine would have heard something, but she's never mentioned that. Maybe because it just didn't happen at that time. Maybe because she didn't witness anything at all at that time. But how Fox News words it makes it seem there's more going on. In terms of the wrongful death lawsuit, well, that's not directly associating or correlating a event with a specific time. Just that at 3:41, people realised Noah was already missing, or not present, absent more so. And based on the structuring of that document, it's as if the argument occurred before people realised Noah was absent. So did the argument take place inside of the house? Did it take place outside of the house? Because how many party goers have mentioned that, oh yeah, there was a verbal fight and it was between Noah, Jack and Avery? The only person than the document, the only other person to acknowledge it in the early days was Justin Roy. Justin Roy worded it as, well, Saturday night, it was quite a physical altercation, pushing and shoving, quite aggressive. Caden had to step in, break it up between Noah and Jack. But then there was another one, as Justin worded, on Monday between Jack and Noah. And when I asked Justin at a later point, was that the one which had pushing and shoving? Justin said no. So because of that, maybe it was more verbal. And the wrongful death lawsuit highlights that event and says it was verbal and somewhat aggressive, verbally only. So, before the wrongful death lawsuit came out, Justin Roy was speaking on the same wavelength really early on. And I've held on to that since. For as much as Justin Roy likes to whinge and whine and focus all in on a one-sided approach, as in claiming that that's what I do, and when I'm at my most balanced perspective, covering it from all angles, to him it's my most unbalanced, biased area, which makes no sense whatsoever, I still hung on to what Justin said in the past about at least two arguments between Noah and Jack. One Saturday or Saturday night onwards, and then the other one Monday. Wrongful death lawsuit mentions Monday, mentions it at the end of the party when the argument took place. But at the end of the party, is that defined by 3:41 or later or before? I don't know. Caden Pressey, with the mention of the golf club's golf bag disappearing at the end of the party, what's considered the end of the party? When everybody winds down to go to sleep? Or is it when the news of Noah's death comes about, that's the end of the party? Does anyone actually know? Because whilst Monday in general, people are winding down, Labour Day, over that weekend, Monday as well, the day of Avery's birthday. So it's not like the party's coming to a complete end. It's like the beginning again, in another sense, of an actual birthday party, besides Labour Day. So that needs to be acknowledged. And you could say Avery's birthday was cut short because of the news of Noah's death. But at that time, that would be, 6 in the morning? Based on the timeline, and not the one, because the wrongful death lawsuit hasn't acknowledged Caden's timeline yet. So take that into mind. So you could say at 6 in the morning, that's when the party truly ended. Because at 5:27, you had Logan, you had Mikey, Jasmine in a bed, awake, eyes open, smiling, looking like they're having a good time in an innocent way. So at 5:27 in the morning, unaware as to what's happened to Noah, but at least knowing that he walked off somewhere maybe. And at 4:30 even earlier, when they came back from a search from the perspective of Logan and Carter, that at least at 5:27 onwards, back to being light-hearted, laughing and joking to some extent, like the party's ongoing, still chilling out, hanging out with people. So you could say at 5:27, the party hadn't ended by then, even though the wrongful death lawsuit implies that much earlier, before 5:27, the party had ended, and that's when certain events followed, such as Noah, Avery and Jack. There was a verbal fight with Avery, Jack and Noah. It couldn't have been at the end of the party, because the end of the party, by definition, by me, would be around 6 in the morning, because at 5:27, people were still having fun, smiling and joking, so the party was still ongoing, and people were still at the party at that point. So yeah, it had to be later, but Noah Presgrove didn't walk away later. He walked away at maybe 3:30 or a bit before that, round then, from the looks of it, supposedly. And based on the timeline of everything else, it seems to timeline with that. So I think the wrongful death lawsuit, for wording it as verbal fight at the end of the party is incorrect. Verbal fight whilst the party's still ongoing at a certain time, which hasn't been specified, but Fox News seem to associate it with the 3:41 time, which is problematic. That's why we've done this theory based on if it did turn out to be true somehow, and there was a twist or turn, it would mean that when Jasmine was outside, she could have heard the possible argument, but never commented or made it up public, so either hiding something or just simply innocent. It's not me attacking them, it's basing it off how it's worded and the language by such as Fox News and onwards, right? You can let me know your thoughts down below as to what you think, whether you agree or not. If there's any other witnesses, like when Madison Rawlings mentioned about there is someone that knows something, would that someone who knows something be who we've looked at today? Any particular names? You let me know. With that all being said, I hope you found the video somewhat interesting. It's good that new articles do come out, but depending on how they report on it and how they quote or re-quote official documents, it doesn't always go quite to plan. You let me know if you picked up on any of the discrepancies or incorrect wording or quotes, re-quotes from Fox News compared to the article. Leave a comment, timestamp below, and any questions and additional stuff you want to add on in, and you let me know if there's any unfinished business with the 3:41 timestamp besides Jasmine Milan's snap, anything else that could have gone on at that time. So thanks for watching. Be on the lookout for some future videos when possible, and yeah, my name's Wyatt Raff. Goodbye, good night for now.